Yeah, what's going on? Back with another episode. Y'all heard the intro. You already know where you at. Overthinking, understanding podcast. How y'all feeling? How y'all doing? If I seem correct to be talking to y'all, I am. The YouTube channel is at 700 subscribers. Thank y'all. I love y'all. I appreciate that. I've had this podcast 5 years, and that's the most growth I've had. And greatness take time. Greatness take time. Greatness builds slow. Slow motion progress. Slow progress is still better than no progress. So shout out. That means the world to me. Elephant in the room. How y'all feeling about the new layout? Shout out to the missus for the overthinking understanding banner. Got the OG banner over there. Got the OG Christmas hat. You know, be genuine to yourself, count to others. This is not a sign off. All right, if y'all can't see, this is just a sign. It's been there. The hearts, I paid for them. Backstory y'all didn't ask for, but they're not mine. I actually attended a wedding and forgot to take them. And long story short, I told the person that I bought them for, like I wouldn't give it to them until they come to my house. It's been 3 years. They ain't came yet, so it just fits the aesthetic. Happy Black History Month, even though it's Black History all year. If you missed it, rewind it. Oh, I just said it again. Happy Black History Month. It's Black History all year. Um, Boom. Talking about diversity is unity and diversity. We talk about community, segregation, all that. That's what this episode is talking about. I'm not talking about DEI. I'm not talking about DEI. To the I'm not talking about if you clicked on this episode thinking I'm talking about DEI and just going into like why it's important, not important, this and the third. I'm not. This is not what I'm talking about. But excuse me, I will be talking about diversity and the importance of diversity and if segregation is a bad thing. This episode was sparked on Martin Luther King's Day. And I have so many episodes for y'all to just sit there, just so much episodes. But this episode was sparked on Martin Luther King's Day, and it came from this one quote that stood out to me. And it was like, I fear that I have integrated my people into a burning house. And matter of fact, I want to know, what does that quote mean to y'all? What does that quote mean to y'all? I'll be telling y'all to drop the comments. Not trying to tell y'all don't, but one day y'all might. So I'm gonna keep asking. So drop in the comments how you feel about that quote and how you feel. Matter of fact, let me make sure I'm quoting right. But that I think I'm quoting right. But how do y'all feel about that quote? How do y'all feel about that quote? What is your? I also want to know, what is your definition of community and having a community and understanding that it takes a community. Um, like what is before this episode? Like them comments should be dropped at like a minute in a second in 2 seconds. I'm sorry if it seems like I'm stalling y'all out a little bit. I am, because the phone is loading. The phone is loading. I was about to say their name, but I guess we don't do free promotion on what I'm trying to learn from everybody else. Yeah, but that quote, I fear that I have integrated my people into a burning house. How do y'all feel about that? And that's what sparked this episode, and just the mindset and the understanding of how sometimes that the goal can get lost in translation. Literally, the whole like basis of the podcast, overthinking, understanding, we know better, but sometimes navigating through life, navigating through people, we start overthinking what we already get, overthinking, understanding. That is not to get confused with the high power. I am a Christian, and I'm not saying, like it says, lean not to your own understanding, stand it on certain situations. Not to get it confused with that, but things that you already know, already solidified in your spirit between whatever you believe in, and this, that, and the third, and we be overthinking it. We know better. We know better. Like I said, we know that the number one rule is no rules. It's only rules when you decide to subscribe and play inside somebody else's games. So the moment that you decide that I'm gonna sign up, take this job, work for these people, do this, that, and third, you are obligated to a certain extent to play by their rules. The moment you remove yourself, magically those rules disappear. So that's more what I'm talking about in this episode. So I'm gonna start off with my quote, with something that sparked like I said, outside of reading that quote, I have never cared about being seen as equal in someone's eyes that refuse to see me as their equal. I could care less about having a seat at their table. I do care about having my own resources to build my own table. And what I mean by that, like I said, I'm not, we're speaking about diversity and segregation in communities, so I can't necessarily steer away from race, but I would say that I do not subscribe to, I, I don't subscribe to necessarily like the negativity that comes around it. Like these people are racist and the racists have to like you, and just they don't. It's black people that I am a African American Christian uh, lesbian presented to the world. Like I don't fit in no box completely. Inside of each of those community, nobody likes me. Inside of that community, inside of each of those community and spaces that I exist inside of is segregation there. And still diversity. Yeah, check me out. On top of being a soldier, like what? Like, what are you talking about? But yeah, so when I say that statement, like some people are not going to see you as that equal, and I don't want to. Like if you don't see me as your equal, you have the right not to see me as your equal. That's your business. That's your business. That's your right. But I feel like, and when I say that quote just kind of just like started this episode and did this episode or whatever. I feel like I should not have lesser resources than what you have. So I do not care if your thing says whites only, and that is your prerogative and that's your belief. Like I said, I'm not speaking about race, whites only, blacks only, whatever. Like I don't care if your establishment say no gays, no this, no that, and it's an establishment that I can go to freely. That's not no lesser than your establishment. That's where the problem is. That's where the issue is. It's like why am I less of a person, less of a being because of the choices that I've made? That I have to be. You wouldn't even let your dog come to where you're trying to make me come, or you wouldn't even let your dog use the restroom where the blacks only back in the day was supposed to use. Who told you that I wasn't greatness and I wasn't a person because you do not subscribe or view or vibrate at the same frequencies, whatever you want to call it that I do throughout my life, so I'm less than you. No. I want my resources to be build what I need to. And I do feel like, and it's just my opinion, we operate inside of a world that is not so much free thinking on our own, and so much is fed to us. I say it all the time. If you're new to Overthinking Understanding podcast, you don't know this is your first episode, I'll say it again. I was fortunate enough to travel around on a private jet all over the world for about 5 years. I was underqualified. Um, I was youngest crowd I did, and at the beginning uninterested, and I kind of left uninterested. But I was still grateful through it all, and I'm saying that to say that my eyes were open to a different world, like the true grasp meaning of diversity and difference, and understanding that it is not what I've been fed and what I've been taught. And if you choose to build your community around that, or yourself around that, you'll be the same way. So I was very fortunate to get outside of what I was taught and start to understand that I don't necessarily want what you have. I'm not trying to take your house, but if I want to build my own house, I would like to know where can I get those materials from, or I would like to know that I have the resources available to get those materials. And I feel that that line gets blurred. I feel like that gets pushed, and that burning house we run our people into. Like you should make them feel a certain type of way, or we should have exactly what they have. When you can create it yourself, and it could be just as glorious. I think everybody should have a community where they're able to create it inside themselves, and people shouldn't feel a certain type of way where it says Black Lives Matters, White Lives Matters, Mexican Lives Matters, all lives matters. not to the point of the detriment to discredit or shame any other things. Because even like the Black Lives Matter stuff gets corrupt. You get into those powers and those people, and the message that it intended to be this great thing get overshadowed by humans being humans. We make mistakes. I don't think no human is supposed to be said to have all their powers. And you see how far we usually crumble. How far we usually crumble in the stuff that we usually do when we try to. We say we gods and this, that, and the third. To a certain way, we are built and made and created in His image. So we do, and He lives with us. So to a certain extent, we do body and embody God. But look at how we shut down and kind of self-destruct ourselves when it gets too much power. I have not seen a human yet gracefully wear their crown the way that the Heavenly Father did. And this is coming from somebody, even speaking about being able to travel and the diversity, that's even coming from reading the Bible. It is hard for me not to extend grace to Christians who feel like their Christianity is correct, but is only correct for a certain race. Like you're not counted to be correct. You everything else you subscribe to that is correct, but you would not treat your neighbor as yourself because your neighbor is a different color or came from a different social class as you. But it's hard not to extend grace from somebody who, and I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. I do need to go and do an episode about it, but I have mixed feelings because, you ain't supposed to talk about pastors, whatever. Not going down that rabbit hole. But just to say this, to say somebody who has read the Bible, it's a lot. It's a lot in the Bible. It's a lot that goes down in the Bible. And we live in a society now where people get so caught up and engulfed with the messenger that they're not even being taught Bible. You get a couple scriptures here and there, and then it's a motivational speak. It's a motivational session, and I said it before. I'm probably down that hill, but it's a motivational speak. But somebody who actually goes there and read the Bible and thirsty for the word that comes from the Bible, and thirsty for the knowledge, and wanting to be taught and understand the words that are on that page, as far as the English translation of the Bible has went. It's a lot that goes down in there. It's a lot of segregation. It's a lot of undiverse things. And at the same time, still, through just like history repeats itself, it's a lot of diversity that makes the Bible wonderful, makes some of the stories in the Bible wonderful. It wasn't just Jews, it wasn't just Hebrews, it wasn't just saints, it wasn't just sinners that made it different. And those pages and things that resonate with so many of us now didn't just come from one group of people. But it started off like that, or it's certain stories that started like that. You always have people that were enslaved, or you have people that were the haves and the have not. So it's hard for me not to extend grace when I just have been programmed and taught and transformed to have a different mindset. Hence, overthinking, understanding, like we know this stuff. We do not exist in this world by ourselves. I say it all the time. So be kind to people. Extend grace. It's easier said than done. Don't get me wrong. Like I'm not saying that I don't see certain people or certain comments. Don't people say do not hurt me or piss me off in a certain type of way. Oh yeah, but I'm learning, and I have learned that it's okay. It's okay for you to feel that Asians have it harder than blacks and whites have it harder than blacks. And we should always have representation is important and representation matter. We should always have, excuse me, somebody who. That's why I say it's important to, like they say, be that change that you want to see, because it's always important to have that representation, and it's okay for people to be that way. Like who are we to say what's right and what's wrong? And that's why I say when I'm speaking on diversity and building of a community, and what is community to you? What is diversity to you? It's not me having to subscribe and play by your rules and play at your table. It's what, like I said all the time, if it does not feed you to do something powerful or to just live your life in a unnegative space, don't subscribe to it. Now, it's different when somebody brings it to your table And we're going to talk about that if you haven't checked out social heartfelt and informative things on the internet, or shit on the internet for short. It's a new segment. I guess it's the old segment, but it's new segment that has been brought back to the Overthinking Understanding platform that is exclusively on YouTube. So if you're checking out this episode on just any type of listening only, it's for the time being, it is exclusively on YouTube. And I was just kind of what popped up in my head is like the little protest and the Nazis coming through. You can call me the hateful speech. You can call me what you want to. You have a right to do it, but you do not have a right to and that's why I say it goes both ways too. You have a right to feel that way, and you can keep it segregated on your side of town. Like my resources, my community, we are set to be successful over here, and your people is set to be successful over there. And it's not a battle of blessing. It's not a battle of black and white. That's not where I'm trying to take it at. Because once again, like I said, speaking of the Bible, I don't even subscribe to their way of thinking or vibration, because I understand that it's not flesh and blood. So I cannot say that I understand that it's not flesh and blood, but then come and be like it's a black and white thing because the color is not important. That is not why we're fighting against each other to a certain extent. So yeah, so when I'm speaking on diversity, like I say in the community, my stuff, your stuff over there, you tell me you don't be over there, cool, that's fine. The issues kind of come in where people try to conquer and take over, and now I want what you have. Or you thriving, and I do not see you as equal, and I did not give you a seat at my table, but then you went out and built your own table. Like I say, table and community will be used interchangeably for this. You went out and built your own table, and I got a problem with that. Now that's an issue, because it's like, why can't I have my own resources? Why can't I have my own community and build my own safe haven for the people that subscribe to me? That's just like YouTube. That's why I think social media is so powerful, to watch people get millions and even thousands of the hundreds of people that subscribe to similar ways of thinking, and you build your own communities throughout social media. A platform that was designed to do one thing, but it's communities that are far right, far left, extremists this way, extremists that way, but all exist on this one social media app to a certain extent. And the world is the same way. Like, we can know it on social media. We can be like, oh, I'm shadow banned, or if you see this, comment, or this, that, and the third. But we see, for the better part of it, that somebody that could be pro this and pro that, platforms can be the same and exist through social media, this space, this app, this data that's collected on your phone. But when we put the phones down and put the internet and stuff down, we can't see that throughout the regular world. And don't get me wrong, sometimes you can't, because the resources wasn't there. I'm a totally different person sitting here now at 29 years old than I was at 22, being a young black person there at that program. And even with that, speaking to the diversity and resources in the community, it was white people, Asian people, black people, all of that helped me get to where I was at. And then when I got there, still, that from what I've seen, to my knowledge, we were one of the most diverse groups that have ever been there. Was it issues? Yeah, but it was super diverse. And issues and disagreements and different ways of thinking is where change and growth is embedded into. You do not want people who, like, morals and principles and all that is great. That could be the same to a certain extent. But it's growth in people who think and look at life different, because they challenge the way that you think. They challenge the way that you think and the way that you view the world. And I don't mean challenge in a bad way. I mean challenge in a way that's good to get you to open your eyes. Like, why do you think that? Why do you think that is the only way? We had men, women, we had men and women of all colors. I would say as of December 2024, and even went on up since I left, and I've been gone from that program 2 years, it's not diverse. If you look at the pamphlet from 2 years ago and you look at the pamphlet now, it's not necessarily diversity. Forward facing. And like I said, representation is important. because you can be the same type of person on the outside. We speaking about color, background, race, or whatever, but you can have a person that we're talking about building community. You have somebody that is the pastor, that is the mechanic, that does this and that, but they look like you, but they all do different things inside of your community or bring different things to your table. You want that. And but I also want to challenge your way of thinking into saying that don't get so caught up and they have to be the same color because, like I say, it's not flesh and blood. So even like I say, going throughout the Bible, because I just even it's like sometimes when you get to talking and you getting to putting your opinion out there and you used to reading certain comments or hearing certain feedback, you can hear the people talking even when you by yourself. Um so I'm not saying that they have to be all of one color, but I'm also not saying it's bad if that's what you subscribe to. I said that already. Like if you want your community to just be this, you have a right to say that these are the requirements that you have to meet for my community, and it's based on this. If I say like this episode is not about DEI, it's not about that. I don't necessarily have too much to say on that for this. It's not the for this episode. I'll put it like that. But yeah, just speaking of the diversity and the speaking on the outside and understanding that people mindsets and the way that they think can shape and either hurt you and hurt your community or it could transform you or catapult you into something that's wonderful. Still to this day, I have people that are not the same color that root for me harder than people that are my same color. Because, like I say, what perfect box do you fit into? I think about people who are biracial or people who present like this, but they grew up totally different. Our resources were totally different. So the community that raised us was totally different. So the slang and the way that I speak and the code that I use, they can't relate to. And I'm like, how you look just like me? And I'm not saying now, I'm just saying in general. Like some people get caught up on that. It's like, you look just like me. How do you not understand? But we get caught up in thinking that, like I say it all the time, you got that episode, your perception is your reality, but perception is not reality. Because the way that you see the world is not how the world is actually running. And speaking to if you let somebody feed you to be undiverse and everybody has to be on what you on, that's stupid. Because if everybody on what you own around you, it's no growth there. If you own what you own can get you killed and they own the same thing what you own can get them killed and the whole circle just owns some stuff that can get them killed. Where is the growth in that? Where is the foundation to help the children and the people up under you do something different? That's why you want people to be different. You want to be able to look at people different and even being able to be exposed to stuff because it is true. You can be exposed to somebody that looks like me or looks like somebody that you do not like, and you can have all the love in the world for them, but you can still not like other members of the community that I come from. It's just like that's just humans. But they're just humans. But don't get. I say everything. I understand. We try to change certain mindsets, right? So don't let people feed you into that, and don't stifle your growth and creativity trying to put yourself in a box. If it does not sit right with your spirit, we are all different. And being, regardless of how people want to try to convince you that you are, being so spirit led, being so emotionally soul bound and led, some things resonate with us different than it resonates with other people. And that is your guiding compass. For Christians, we call it the Holy Spirit, but it's something in you that guides you, intuition, like it's a, call it, label it, whatever that you want to. There's so many things that in you that guides you and show you, like I'm feeling this and I'm not feeling this. and and what I feel and what I think and how I go shapes me and creates me to do this, and what you feel and how you go shapes you and creates you to do that. Don't let people stifle you by telling you, oh, we don't have to, all these people are bad, or these or all this race is bad, or all people that come from there is bad, or all social people from this social class are bad, or like it goes on. You get fed and you get saturated and fed what to think, you have to have independent thoughts outside of what somebody is telling you. Believe half of what you hear, believe half of what you see. That's the closest thing to the truth. Because believing all of what you hear and believing all of what you see, too many times in this world, it can be manipulated into something else. Just like to say that segregation is bad, but we segregate ourselves from a lot of things. Like if you are somebody that does not like gay people, black people, people that join in the service, and I get a vibe that you will hurt me or you so strong with your belief, I'm going to segregate myself away from you. The extreme of a lot of stuff is where things get bad. But like I say, overthinking and understanding, we know this stuff. I'm not saying I never try to get up here. I'll come up on this podcast and act like I'm teaching something that's not known. Like I truly believe that humans know this because we say it. There's people outside of me that share thoughts that I thought out inside of me, and of course, like it comes outside and they say it, and I'm like, man, like we know good, we just don't do good, or we just get to overthinking. Like we get so, like I said, we get so driven where like the goal should be the goal, the end point, what we want. That should be hard. That should be written in concrete, written in pen, unable to be erased. But the destination of how we get in there, the plan, that should be written in pencil. And how do you get to where you want to go? Is it just by working with black people? Is it just by subscribing and staying in your community? Because being able to branch out of your community and come back and still feed the community is powerful. But it's some people that are literally the pillars and the cornerstones of what make a community great. They have to stay in their community. That is what their calling is to do. It's just a part of life. And we have somehow seemed to forget that, getting so caught up in letting people make you think that it's a black and white thing, it's an Asian and black thing, it's a Mexican and it's not that. It's an American and this thing. Like where you started at, and it's just my belief. Like I said, getting up here, I seen it the other day. I forgot who said it, but they were like, I think it was Dave Ramsey. It was like, I'm an expert in my own opinion, and you are subscribed or listening or have stumbled across my podcast, and I'm giving you my opinion, independently of what saying that you have to feel this way. And understanding, like I said, you could be segregated with certain things, segregated in your thinking and what you choose to let in and what you choose to let out. But I know historically it was negative. That's why I say anything that segregates and you feel that somebody else shouldn't have the same resources as you to a certain extent, it begs a problem. And I speak about guns and stuff like that. Like if we're not going to up the protection for schools to equip themselves to be successful to protect themselves against people who maybe shouldn't have guns, bad people are still going to buy guns whether you tell good people they shouldn't have them or not. And good and bad is subjective, but I'm just saying people that are going to hurt children or hurt innocent people, it's no race, it's no color involved. Just going to hurt innocent people or unarmed people that's unable to protect themselves or not given the resources to protect themselves. Like what? So you go, I can't carry a gun, and having a gun, like I say, like once people that subscribe to your rules is wonderful. Me being a soldier, like I get it, but you're only shackled or jailed or freaking contained inside of the rules that you choose to follow. Because it's like if you tell me what to do, and because I believe and I listen and I understand that the rules are set in place, and even if I don't understand them, I just know that it's a rule. Let's take that out. Let's take understanding out, right? Let's just say like I know it's a rule, so I'm gonna follow the rule because it's a rule. And somebody of a higher rank tells me to do something, and I don't do it. I just broke the power that you had over me, and there may be consequences that follow that. but it's broken because I do not subscribe to your rules. So you have people where it says you don't take a gun on post, you don't take a gun to church, you don't take a gun this place and that place, but it does not stop certain people from having a weapon there. So now, because they do not subscribe to the rule, but they're still able to come and insert themselves inside of that community, they are able to have a seat at that table. They put everybody who did not bring a weapon or that adhered to those rules at jeopardy. I hope that made sense. Like I'm trying to speak to the fact that sometimes the segregation and the having the diversity and understanding that maybe more places it shouldn't just be metal detectors at places where they're known to have crime because metal detectors looks tacky or this is not the hood, we shouldn't have metal detectors, but a gun, an unstable mindset, an unstable human being, or whatever that's not just in the hood. Bullies, if bullies and people who treat people or make people feel low, or people that just want to hurt people, that does not just exist in the hood or the slums or whatever. That is what I mean by diversity and being able to have diversity at some of these places. Because at the top of where people make decisions that affect mass people, sometimes it's not a lot of diversity. It's not a lot of people that, and it's not like I said, it's not a look. I have a thought and I have a belief that I want my team to be so diverse that we know that if I go in there and say the same things that this white man or Asian woman or freaking attractive or whatever this person says or more aesthetically pleasing to these people say, I can say the same thing that all the people I list saying, but because you do not like the messenger, it's shut down. But we're trying to reach the goal. So reaching the goal is understanding that I don't care what position I have to play at a certain point. I'm going to send in the best person for that position in to go do that. So if you feel better for it coming from a Caucasian man, Caucasian woman, Asian man, Asian woman, this prettier person, I'm going to tell them the same thing. We're going to come together as a group, tell them the same thing to all, excuse me, provide resources and bring back resources and build our community up. And we're going to use that undiverse way of thinking for you because, like I said, you have a right to feel how you want to. I'm going to let that person go and do that. So what I mean by assemblies table that make plans and make these rules on a big scale don't have diversity in it. It's just like if you have a bunch of people who came from where you came from, because like I say, it's not code. It's just some people that has not been able to be exposed to the world or be able to be exposed to things outside of them, of their community. So their way of thinking is so much different. So you have people sitting up in there and like, I think we should put metal detectors in all the schools. And then everybody around that table is saying, no, that's ghetto, that's tacky, that don't make no sense. But you can have a stadium. Most of the time, what you gonna have? Metal detectors. You can have situations like fair parks, metal detectors. Even now in some churches, metal detectors. Because I'm trying to protect the assets that's here. But if you do not have anybody teaching you that, or and I ain't even teaching or just challenging that way of thinking, that perspective, it gets shot down. And that, excuse my like word, no pun intended. But that ideal or that statement gets shot down, and then for consequences, we lose a child or a person or a teacher gets shot down. Like I say, like I never want. I feel that I said all the time, we already know this, overthinking, understanding. I feel as humans, we say a lot of stuff, we're very smart. We are our biggest helper, but also we the cause and the cure. We're the cause and the cure for a lot of our ailments and problems. So, but I can only spit it the way that God has created it to be in my head. But I still want y'all to get it. I still want y'all to get it. So I hope that it is making sense. Like self segregation and segregating of a community. It's almost like a myth where it stops inclusion. But sometimes the inclusion of too much diversity causes issues. Sometimes sometimes things can be too diverse and it's just too much going on. It's like everything happening everywhere all at once. But if we could actually see everything happening everywhere all at once, our mind, it'll be too much for our mind. So sometimes you want to have certain things. At the end of the day, it's whatever to make this better solution. I mean, you're trying to build a table and you're trying to build resources to help people, yourselves, whatever look table community you've created, right? So if it does not help, it shouldn't even be on the table. So sometimes when we bring too many people into the pot, it, the ideal, like I say, I feel that I have led my people into a burning house. You lose the ideal. You lose where we started. You lose the fact that you used to tell yourself, like, I never wanted what they had as far as you won't give it to me. I'm a take it. I want your house. I just want to be able to have a nice house. Like you have a nice house. I want to have a choice to be able to have a nice house. I want to have a choice to be able to have a nice life, a nice school, my children to go to school nice and do all of this. And it's not lost on me that it's never going to be all inclusive for everybody. And the solution will never be everybody's able to have the same thing because it's just not how the world's supposed to work. And one of the biggest things that I've learned throughout these 29 years of living, everybody don't want that. Some people are just okay with being okay and being normal, and don't let that, like, sometimes we get caught up in trying to force somebody to be better than what they want to be. Like, I see so much for you, and then and this, that, and the third, and just like, I don't want that. That's what you want. I'm okay with, and it's and like I say, when I don't want to necessarily say jobs where I feel like I'm down, playing anybody downgrading, because all of these jobs are significant at the table, in the community. So teachers, the mechanic, the person that owns the store, the person that cuts the grass, like everything is every piece of this table, every piece of this community exists for the betterment of us, regardless of what color it is, regardless of what background that it had to a certain extent. If it came together to work towards this solution, work towards this goal to make us better, that's what we are for. And anything outside of that, it doesn't need to be included. It doesn't need to be included, but we don't use words like that anymore. Like like it's I don't know, maybe it's about flipping it. Like I said, if it doesn't work for you, if it doesn't breed you positivity, if it doesn't make you do something, and like segregation is bad, like this is bad, that's bad. Like flip it. Understand that sometimes it's good, sometimes it's needed. If you have somebody that hates boxing, but you're forcing them to come to a boxing event and they're acting stupid, like this, hey man, this is only for people who like boxing or that enjoy who's ever boxing. I don't know. Like, I don't want to shoot it over y'all head, but I also don't want to simplify it where I lose the message trying to break it down too much. Um, that's another word, but how I can go down with why I don't subscribe to the message bubble no more. But that ain't what we're talking about. I hope y'all getting it. Like at the end of the day, understanding that it can be a community led situation. Your table should be built to be something, and it can be as big or as small as you want it to be. Your community can be you being a jack of all trades and you able to be self-sufficient. And you segregate yourself from other things that does not help with you. Like, I don't know, it can be as simple as complicated as you want it to be. How many people that you bring into your community or how many people that you have at your table, that's it's on you. So like I said, like we talk about resources and tables and stuff like that. But some people do not have those access to funding. But you can be a part of that solution in that change for your community. But if you have people that are just like you, and so like I say, sometimes coming from where I come from, we get caught up on trying to take everybody from the bottom with us, and it's holding us down. And they also have they don't want to play the role that's needed. Like we don't know how to get the resources to do this at the moment, but I have enough money to send you to the school to learn the knowledge for us to be able to get the resources that we need. So no, you do not have to be the one that's in the spotlight necessarily as the rapper or the basketball player, the football player. That's why I say like the goal is to get us all out. Write that in concrete, in pen or whatever, and let everything else be written in pencil. So we all do not have to. You do not have to watch me go be a famous football player, basketball player, doctor, or whatever. And then I'm telling you, come be a doctor too. But the goal is for all of us to come up together, but we can do different things. And I do think like I'm gonna keep it with the analogy of freaking rapping and football because it's a little bit easier because you got managers, um, you got assistants, you got all this thing, and there's people on your team, like those roles are a little bit more easily defined, and I won't get lost in that example. So let's, you got somebody that's a rapper. Like I said, you got your manager, you got your assistant, you need a driver, security, all these different little things, and whatever way that you have funded yourself to be able to rap or to make this money, use that money not only to feed into yourself because you want to bring everybody else up, but feed into them learning the knowledge, learning the resources that are needed for y'all to be great. Send them to places that maybe you can't go. That's why, like literally, like I was saying earlier, being able to have a diverse group. There's some rappers that are mega super big. They talk about killing, guns, doing drugs, and they don't do it, and the people that listen to their music cannot go to places that they can, whether it's felonies or, excuse me, restrictions or other things. But to the people that are listening to them, they feel like they're a part of the same community, and they're not. These people, these people have somebody in front of you, like I was saying earlier, that the messenger is better for you, but the people behind it is not. Not at all. Like they're pushing drugs and murder and killing, and they don't do none of it. They didn't come from none of that. But you like, we come from the same community off the words that's being said. No, no. Um, yeah, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole either. I'm trying to stay focused with the diversity community, understanding that diversity is okay, understanding that segregation to a certain point is okay, understanding that you have the ability and the right to change and recreate things to make you successful. I used to laugh, and I talked about it on the episode, same story, different name, but I had a freaking delusional ex, man, and they just thought whatever, right? But I'm speaking that to say like a small piece of delusion is good. Having a little bit of delusion inside of your space is good, for the simple fact of if it helps you to prepare you for it, if it helps you to get you and your community and your table in a successful spot, by all means, be a little bit delusional. Have a little bit of delusion. I seen a thing on, I forgot what app I was on, but it was like, and I have an episode, Faith Over Fear, right? Faith of, it is actually called Life Every Day, or Life Every Day. And the acronym is Live in Fear Every Day or Live in Faith Every Day. But check that episode out too, shameless plug. But I was speaking to, I'm trying to remember, is at the edge of my thing. Oh, what I seen on the internet, and it was like faith and fear is both something that you need, means something that you believe in. That it said faith and fear is both things that you believe in sight unseen. So you're fearful sometimes of things that are not seen just clearly by overthinking. And you have faith in some things clearly by just what you've choosing to understand. Like I have faith in a lot of things based off of the readings and the teachings and the learning and the belief that I have created and what has shaped me throughout the Bible. But they both things come from, but I have faith in certain things that like you just don't see. Like I have faith that it'll work out. I believe in my compass. I believe in the Holy Spirit. For those who don't know, like very close to getting out the army. Not saying very close like I'm on the fence. Like, no, I'm very close. And my time and my contract coming to an end. And I've been doing this for 10 years, and I'm grateful for everything that the army has taught me. The person that my mother and father have made me, but the army has filed and sharpened in some areas and made me better, being able to travel the world, like literally actually travel the world. I'm actually talking like the private jet part, going to the different countries part, not necessarily like, oh, I live in different countries, but it's the army. Like, no, just completely different way of doing the army. And I was just saying all that. I was just saying all that to say, just is I'm finna be done with it. And there's so many people inside of the army and even outside of the army that's saying like, no, you're a great soldier. There's nothing on the outside of the army for you. Stay in, stay in, stay in. But it goes against my belief in what I have trained myself in. Like I said, my core value of just like faith. Like faith. Like it's like how can I say that the Heavenly Father has blessed me to be underqualified, too young, too rough around the edges to go and work for the Secretary and the Chief of the Army, fly around the Secretary of Defense and whatever other dignitaries and these important people being me, but he can't do the same thing outside of this. You just can't get me to believe that, because if I told you some of the things that I went through or some of the places that I stepped to backwards, you would tell me I was never supposed to be there, and I'll tell you that you're right. But yet and still I was there. So to say that I don't have any greatness outside of the army, how can I subscribe to that belief? And that's why I say diversity is important, and seeing people thrive outside of the army is amazing to me. Even though my community is built up of so many people in the service, I have a lot of people, and like I say, if you're new, check out some of the other episodes, but mostly everybody I started the army with, now, is, minus the people who I've met at like first duty stations, like I know of them and they're still in the service. Most of everybody that I consider my community, people that I would want to build together with, they're out. They're out, and I haven't seen. I say one that was successful out of a lot that were not very successful leaving the service. But they are successful now, but not leaving. Not leaving, it was very hard for them. So, and like I said, I'm just in there to say just diversity, and that's why I thrive, and I cannot subscribe to putting myself inside of a box. I do not know. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Like, and it's ironic. They say once you bite this fruit, you will have the knowledge of good and evil. And like I said, I'm not trying to make it biblical. It's not what I'm teaching. That's not what I'm teaching. It's not what I'm trying to speak to or get you to understand. Because I'm not trying to teach to you. I'm just giving you my opinion, hoping that it builds you to make you a better person, right? So like I said, where I was going with that, it's like you can't untake this knowledge away from me. I know better now. I know that yes, I am successful inside of the service, but I also know that I can be successful outside of it. And if I do choose to navigate through the service in a different capacity, I'll be successful then too. But I just cannot subscribe to being put inside of this box because, like I said at the beginning of the show, I do not fit comfortably in no box. I'm a black, freaking lesbian, gay soldier. Is no, it's all of that. Like it's too much. Like you not gay enough for some gay people. I'm not. I'm too black for certain black people. I'm not soldier enough for certain soldiers. Like you, I don't fit perfectly in no box. And I don't think none of us do. We try to. We try to. Even if you break down, like I say, some of the extreme left and rights, this you have to be this race. Even though to some people, like white looks white, black looks black, Asian looks Asian. But even inside of all of these communities, any community that you could think of, is always bickering or some type of segregation amongst it. Like if this person is supposed to be good at this because they come from a certain race or a certain background, but they're not. They're usually ostracized or treated different because of that. and speaking to the people that are like that, just people that are like me, and it does in this episode, and this message came out clearly to you, and you understand that you do not fit inside of any box correctly. You're not supposed to. You're not supposed to. Just want to, and you have the ability to go and be diverse. Anything that, like I said, is harming you or is keeping you down, you have parents that say you're supposed to be like this, you're supposed to be like this only, but they are not helping you or not building you up. Go and be diverse if you're able to. I said, and it's not lost on me that everybody is not able to build their own resources. Everybody is not given the resources to build their own table. Everybody is not in the space to have the ability to be diverse. All they see is women that look and get treated the same way that they do. All they see is men that look and get treated the same way that they do. There's no diversity inside of it. So how can I get them? And like stuff like this is wonderful because I'm able to put my voice in places that my feet will not walk. Like this episode will be released all over the world, but I am not physically all over the world. But still, I'm all over the world. Um, but I know everybody is not even able to have access to stuff like that, and that's why I say it's like you don't have to places like that. Is I don't. I feel like it's what it is to come off wrong or what I'm trying to say. Like I don't want to say that it is what it is, and I also don't want to say that you can't save the world. But I don't think that one group of nobody can save the world. But wherever you at and you see what's going on, and like they say, for the change you want to see it, whatever, and you're able to affect some type of change in the part of the world that you are, I think you should. I think you should. If there's no diversity created on the outside, but your mind is already diverse and you think so much different than the people that surround you, then you should go and be the diversity that's like it. You should go be that. You should go do that. You should go create that. I don't want to drag this episode or, like I said, make this episode longer than what it needs to be. But I really hope that, like I said, this episode resonated. Like I'm up here and I talk to myself and I start these ideas and I get these episodes by myself. Um, Most of the time, like of course, I have guests on. We it's a collaborative effort, and even throughout this podcast, I get so much diversity. There's so many people that I talk to or that I conversate with through email or DMs and stuff. That we have different walks of life, but they hear one episode and they like from this episode on this topic that you talked about, you resonated with me, and I want to work with you. They don't listen to all of the episodes. Some people do not have a my father said it the other day. I don't think he'll be upset about me saying it. But we had a conversation that was kind of heartfelt. But like I said, if this is the first episode that you're tuning into. When I started this podcast back in 2020, my sibling, my little brother had cancer, and my granny was sick. And 5 years later, they're both still fighting, but they're sicker than ever. You know what I'm saying? I say that. I say they're sicker than ever. For my granny, not so much. She's made an improvement, but she made an improvement physically, but in certain other ways, she's a little bit sicker than ever. And then for my younger sibling, my little brother, she's sicker than ever. I understand that going forward, that neither one of them may not be here with me too much longer. And not trying to be heavy, not trying to do it like that, but saying what this conversation was kind of like we had a good conversation. But my father, man, come on, lost it. It was good too. It was powerful what he said, but you might want to read him and charge it to my mind, not my soul. And if it comes back, I'll say it. I'll probably make a quick little snippet. But he said something that I think will be valuable to it, but I lost it, so I don't want to keep putting it out. But if you enjoyed this episode, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow me on Facebook, TikTok, whatever you choose to follow me on. I'm not necessarily. I'm interested in building a community. and I'm understanding that it's like wherever the buzz, wherever the followers follow at, like that. I know it's funny to some people, but Snapchat is still one of my most followed social media. Well, now it's YouTube. Shout out, like I say, shout out to y'all again, 700 subscribers. But whatever, I just about building a community. Whatever like I say, whatever the TikToks, the Facebooks, the Snapchat, Instagram, whatever. Now I don't know free promotion stuff, but every app works and navigates a little bit different diversity. So I like being on everything, right? Like it's diverse. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I don't want to drag it out no more. I keep saying that. I enjoyed talking to y'all. I hope y'all enjoyed the episode. I hope y'all enjoyed the new setup, the new freaking studio. We got work to do. Got a whole lot of more work to do. I want to bring y'all guys the best version of myself. So I'm always working and growing, and I don't want to just talk it. I want to live it. I think that's the best representation of trying to do it. So until next time. Till next time, be genuine to yourself and kind to others. Thank y'all for checking out this episode. Like, share, subscribe. Like, share, subscribe. All right, see y'all next time.